So I guess the main item on my wish list really is to resolve the issues of a growing inequality, which I see in our borough, whether that's from people living in poor housing, people who are unemployed, lost their jobs in COVID, rising levels of child poverty. Those things are kind of vital, and there's the kind of get out of bed stuff. And fundamentally, if someone's coming to Greenwich to kind of come and work with us or make a proposition, you're going to be kind of judged against that context, really. I've always believed that regeneration principally has to be about people that live here already, and actually making sure that any developments deliver benefits against those goals. We've also got massive challenges around creating a greener Greenwich. We've just launched our carbon neutral plan, and I think it's fair to say that issues around climate and the challenge of the climate crisis are at the forefront of everyone's minds. I think any development and anyone who kind of does want to work with us has to kind of come to the table with that in mind. And this isn't about kind of fancy projects and kind of abstract things. This is real things that we can do and deliver. A lot of our council housing, for example, that we're building is zero carbon, and actually I'm really proud of that stuff. So I guess having some of those things reflected are really important, and the things that we look out for. What I've seen, and I've lived in Greenwich my whole life, so I've got that kind of perspective, is over time, Greenwich has become a more unequal place. And actually, we already had, kind of in, as you do in most, if not all parts of London, wealth sat alongside poverty, but it's become much more stark. And certainly in terms of, some of the developments that we've seen, who are, even where provision is made for low-cost affordable housing, issues around service charges and how sustainable it is for people to live in those communities is a very real question. And we've seen that done really well, and we've seen that done really badly. I'm also constantly focused on what our partners can help us do with our children and young people. Certainly tonight I'll have just under 50% of all of my kids in Greenwich will go to bed in poverty, which is a deeply distressing statistic. And be that kind of support through schools, supports through apprenticeships and other programs into employment. Some of the support that we've seen around the provision of our free school meals program, is absolutely vital in terms of giving stuff back to people in real need. And I think, we are strong champions here in Greenwich of people who do invest. And actually, I guess if I use the example of the Tesco's in Woolwich that was built a number of years ago now, to a load of middle-class architects, that was held up as the Carbuncle Cup winner of what a disaster this building was. But actually, that was 500 jobs for local people in Greenwich. So, you'll have the chance, I think, to work with a council who are absolutely focused on our local communities and enhancing their lives in a very genuine way.
And you talked about the carbon neutral plan. Over what period is that taking place?
So we are currently out to consultation, and obviously we've set a very ambitious target there, and around getting to the stage of carbon zero. Now, obviously, that's all got to be overlaid with the government objectives as well, and certainly the spending reviews happened today. I haven't had time to completely digest everything that was said, but unless the government makes substantial investments in a green economy, councils on their own are simply not going to be able to deliver that. But there are, of course, kind of huge opportunities, and I think we're already talking to people and keen to talk to people who want to invest in creating a green economy locally. So actually, how can investments generate jobs locally? What do green jobs look like in the future? How do we maximise the benefits of those, particularly for a group of young people who are going to find themselves at the very sharp end of COVID in terms of unemployment and lost opportunities. So we're really trying to sort of bring all those different objectives together in terms of working in a genuine way with people. So we've got our London plan targets, and obviously the London plan remains unapproved at this point. So I guess that's kind of out for discussion. Certainly we're building 750 council homes, and we're really proud of that. And we're on site. I got permission just last week for another 113 up in Kidbrooke on the old Thomas Tallis site. So I guess we're really moving ahead at pace there as part of that building council homes for Londoners, which is a central piece of what we're doing. We're also keen to talk to obviously other people who want to come and invest about how we create low quality affordable housing, because actually what we do know is that you do need a whole menu of options for different people. People are at different points in their lives. We're really keen to do stuff around key workers, and I guess actually if COVID has taught us anything, it's probably that key workers is a bigger definition than what may exist on a planning policy, and who is vital, and how we're going to need to flex the system in order to meet some of that need.
And are there any other sort of specific areas of regeneration across the borough that you'd like to see delivered or addressed over the next few years during your term?
Yeah, so I guess we've been doing a lot of work in Cholton. In my previous role as the Cabinet Member for Regeneration, I've led on the delivery of the Cholton Riverside Master Plan, creating that in partnership with community groups and interested parties, as well as having an open conversation with developers. I think the work that I've done around the stakeholder forums is sort of bringing those different voices together in the room to say, look, we all need to kind of go on this journey together, and actually rather than be in sort of two hostile spaces, let's try and facilitate conversations, was very useful in that regard. Clearly, Cholton is an enormous opportunity area, but it's also a very different place, I think, from the peninsula or indeed from Woolwich, where we've got exponential growth in real terms. And I think the key difference for us around Cholton, which is even more relevant to the circumstances we find ourselves in today, is that we wanted that to be an employment-led regeneration scheme. There are many organisations and employees within the Cholton Riverside area doing absolutely incredible things behind closed doors that people may not have seen or appreciated. And certainly the employment studies that we've done have really led us into conversations, that actually we need to keep and sustain some of these businesses. We need to work with other businesses to make them, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more environmentally friendly. But we need to support, those businesses in that area as much as possible. We're also working body in relation to Thamesmead. Obviously, Thamesmead is a huge area. I mean, I've seen one map where if you took the whole of Thamesmead and overlaid it onto Zone 1, Thamesmead is actually bigger. And I guess, increasingly, what we're seeing is that conversation about London is shifting east, London is shifting east. Well, actually, there's not much land anywhere else in real terms. So I think there's, a number of conversations that can be had about working with us in a way where we do still have spaces for development, but not development at any cost. And I think we've well gone past the point of have a 28-story tower here with no affordable housing, and that's somehow acceptable, because it's not. And clearly, you want to make reasonable decisions based on evidence, but given the acute level of housing need that we face across the borough, not just in and across the city, actually, we really need to make sure that we're building stuff which is for Londoners, their families, for our young Londoners, and supporting them to get a foot onto the housing ladder of whatever rung that may be.